paper?
It was interesting when they found the paper filled with rims. It was 5 inches wide and 3 inches long.
Yeah, Jack?
But why should they be looking for the paper? Didn't they know the code by heart? No, because it was like mixed words. It was mixed words like A, C, B, F.
Okay, guys, you have something to say?
Yeah, I think she had a...
I've been doing literature circles for 4 years, and the trickiest thing is the beginning. It's just teaching the routines, modeling it, teaching the rules, teaching my expectations, because if you don't take a lot of time at the beginning, it's going to fall apart all through the year. They need to know what you want and how to do it and what not to do. Okay, so we're going to communicate, create, critically think, and collaborate. Communicate means talk and listen. Create, we're going to be creating really good sentences using our mind to create something very fantastic. Critically think, solve problems, and we're going to collaborate, which means work together to create something amazing. In literature circles, it's a 4-day activity. What we'll be doing is we'll be reading a new story called Journey to the Center of the Earth. And I chose this book because in science, we're learning about life cycles and how everybody relates to life, and we need environment. An environment, we need life. And I chose this book because in social studies, we're learning about landforms and regions, and you're going to see all that in this book. So I think this book you'll find very interesting. On Tuesday, I introduced the book. I tried to create some motivation and a will for them to want to read it. I introduced the jobs, I introduced their groups, I introduced what was expected. These are the jobs. The first one is community connector. Repeat, community connector. And what we're doing with that is I want you to refer to details when explaining the text. So when you're reading the text, you're using the details from the text to explain what you want to say, okay? And so this is what the job description is. So pay attention. If this is what you want to do, then you will probably want to talk to your leader and discuss and give them your opinion of what job you want and the supporting details of why. We've been practicing supporting details. Back up your opinion with details. So you need to make connections between characters in this book, other books, your life, or someone else's life. So while you're reading this book, if something reminds you of your life or another book, you'll list that. The first day was just a lot of teaching, a lot of modeling. Actually, the whole day was pretty much teaching and modeling and showing what I wanted and what I didn't want, so that they would, when they worked on their own, they could do the assignments.
But wants to be another, besides the art, whatever it's called, the other ones, like the other jobs. What's like another job you want? Which one?
The super soul.
You want to be that one?
To choose their roles, I had the table leader, or the captain, be in charge. And I just said, you're in charge. I wanted them to take leadership. I wanted them to problem solve. And I combined the PBI skill, which we're learning right now, which is disagreeing appropriately, because I knew there'd be disagreements. Somebody would want probably the artistic adventure, and somebody would not want the summarizer. So I told the leader, you're in charge. You decide how you're going to give out the jobs. Maybe they can give you their opinion and back it up with supporting details, or you can decide whatever way you think is fair. But I wanted them to take the leadership and decide who gets what job. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Miss Richardson.
How are you today?
Good.
Good. Okay, yesterday we had our first lesson on literature circles. I explained what it was, what the purpose was, and what the expectations were. I'd like to re-explain that just to make sure we're clear on what we're expected to do and why we're doing literature circles. So what literature circles are, you're reading a book. Everybody's reading the same book at this time. We're all reading the same pages, pages 1 through 18, I think we decided on yesterday. You are responsible for those pages on Friday, because on Friday we will be doing activity with those pages. So you are responsible for reading the book, pages 1 through 18, and completing your activity sheet. You have different activity sheets. All of these activity sheets are encouraging you to create and to critically think. All the sheets will be different. Nobody will have the same answers. You will be creating your own answers using the book, using text. I do literature circles for many reasons. One, I want them to love reading. I want them to talk about the reading, and yes, I guess I do want them to find enjoyment and find a connection among themselves for reading. But also at the end they talk, and I think that's very important, the collaboration, the communication, because they're not used to talking about a book. They're not used to talking educationally. All right, so what we're going to do today, I will be pooling you as groups. I'm going to start with the vocabulary enricher because I know that's probably the most confusing activity we have. So I will work with you. Then I will work with the other groups also. If you have a question, you're stuck, you're not sure, this is the first day we're doing this. If you have a question you're not sure, try, keep reading, and know that I will pull you as a group so any questions will be answered. The next couple of days, the kids would work on their assignments individually, and I would call back each group. I would explain what I wanted, what I didn't want, and they would ask questions. And then they would show me what they had, and then I would say, yes, that's appropriate, or no, let's add a little bit to it. So it's just a lot of modeling and a lot of showing what's right and what's not right so that they will see what the expectations are. So whenever you're reading a book, there's always words you don't know. Or maybe there's words that are puzzling, words that are confusing, or you just like them. So I want to use context to figure out these words. So what we're going to do is let's just start with page 1. The most difficult job, I think, was the vocabulary enricher, and I really had to show them how to use a dictionary and how to use context to predict. And probably I'll have to show them a couple more times because that's a very hard job and a lot of components that go with it. So my prediction is I'm going to put a title, somebody's name. That's my prediction. I used the context of the capital letter just to help me figure it out. So everybody's prediction is right. The reason is you're using context. But now let's find out what the real definition is. So when you're doing this, I never want you to change your prediction. As long as you use some type of context, whether it's the whole paragraph, maybe the whole page, or maybe a lot of people used parts of a word, that's fine. As long as you use some type of clue, your prediction is good. If you just guess, it's not right. But you have to use some type of clue. But let's figure out what the definition is. So now we're going to look up professor in our dictionaries. You may begin. Once they have the routines down and the rules, they will continue to work. They will continue to do their pages and their activities. But I will also continue to call them back in small groups. Even if they have it down, they know what they're doing, I want to increase their depth of knowledge. I want them to grow. I want them to continue to getting better and better at whatever level they are, whether they're the lowest level or the highest, they keep on growing. So I am always calling back groups. They're always working, and we just work as a team to get better together. You find they're not participating, they're feeling a little shy, you could go, oh, so what do you think, Alexis? Or you could say, oh, we haven't heard from Mia yet. Or do you agree with Jacqueline's response? So you guys can use this soliciting a response to help you, okay? Every week I'm going to talk about a different section, but I think these two, expressing an opinion and soliciting a response, will be very helpful for tomorrow, okay? While I was working with the group, the students were reading their assigned pages, they were completing their assigned jobs, and if they finished early, they were able to reread the pages so they were ready for the discussion, or they were to read AR books, or I also had a character map which they could analyze the character and go a little bit deeper into the book. Today we're going to do our last day of our literature circles. It's probably one of the most important days because we're doing something different. We're going to be working on the communication and the collaboration piece. So the last day was a fun day. It was nerve-wracking because I didn't really know what to expect since it was the first time we've done this. And I explained exactly what I wanted as far as working together, collaborating in groups, communicating together. Are we ready to start our discussions? Who's going to have a great discussion? Who is going to build on each other's ideas? Who is going to express their own ideas and not be shy and just express yourself? I like it. All right, I'm excited to see what kind of discussions you have. Table leaders, you are ready to lead. You may begin.
Okay. Discussion director.
What might happen if Limebrook had lost the paper with the code?
I would think that that they would have to go like halfway through the world to actually find it. Jacqueline.
But they'll rush until they find it. Like they'll look everywhere.
They look underground to find that little piece of paper code.
I think that they will like go everywhere and look everywhere.
I think they'll go to outer space to look for it.
Okay.
Today, the group that we looked at, they did a great job, but they seemed a little bit structured. They had a list to follow, and they followed that list very well. I hope in the future they don't need the list. I hope in the future it's natural. They have the questions that flow and it becomes more of a natural discussion. That's what literature circles are. It's just a discussion. It's a collaboration. It's a group work. So I want them all to feel happy talking and comfortable talking. And eventually they won't even need the active discussion strategies and sentence stems. They can just talk like they were talking on their own. So that's my goal for the next few weeks.